Culturally clueless.
All right, you guys. Somebody criticized my intro, my whack intro, I should say, last week. And that's why I decided this week we're not going to have an intro. We're just not. I could bring up some stuff, but this week, no. So, with that said, you guys, like always, welcome to Culturally Clueless and Assalamu Alaikum.
People talking loud, everybody's got a take. Scrolling through the headlines, don't know what's real or fake. Late night conversations, what's the truth we chase? World keeps changing pace, but we're all in the race.
Hey, what's good, beautiful people? Thanks for joining me once again. Thank you so much for last week's. I don't know what happened, but keep it coming. The constructive criticism, keep it coming. The discussions in the comments or one-sided discussions or whatever it is, keep it coming. I love it. And I love all of you guys. Thank you for being here. You guys are absolutely great and amazing. Whether you are on YouTube in the comments or you're just listening on streaming or you're coming to visit us on YouTube from streaming. However, thanks for just simply being there and being supportive. Should we dive in? It's not my day today, you guys. I feel like I'm getting sick and I don't like it. So I'm very glad that I managed to be able to sit here and come with some things to talk about, think about, and maybe debate. Okay. I want to start with WEFCON. So WEFCON, Women AFCON, after this turmoil AFCON that we just finished a couple of weeks ago with Senegal being the winner. So much drama. I don't know what to say. There was a video and somebody said, Africa ain't ready. And then my question is, are humans really ready? Are they actually ever going to be ready? Like you would think in 2026, where we have so many things like bots and AI and so much optimization of work processes, life of, medicine being so advanced, everything being so advanced, but we're still here killing each other, creating drama, exploiting people, torturing people. It's quite shameful. So I don't know. Is Africa ready? Is the whole world ready? I don't know. You guys tell me. But what I can say is there was a lot of discussion about WEFCON because it's supposed to take part or place, I should say, in Morocco from March 17 to April 1st, 2026. And there was some talks that Morocco doesn't want to do it because of what happened. CAF said no, or people protested for Morocco to host WAFCON. So South Africa, oh my gosh, South Africa said, no, we can do it. We have the facilities, we have the means, we have the resources. If anything, we can definitely jump in and take over. So everybody ran with that narrative, you guys, and this is how rumors start, right? Because to me, yeah, I saw that, and I saw the some South African official talk about it, but when I did research, there is actually no official confirmed statement that WAFCON will take place in South Africa in 2026. As of it is now, everything remains still the same, and Morocco is hosting WAFCON. Again, I'm very apologetic to what happened during AFCON. I really would have wanted it to be a different way in so many different ways and when it comes to so many different things. But you guys, I don't know what to say. If you guys still on that hate train towards each other's because of historical tragedies, which I totally understand, and so much animosity towards each other and so much racism. I at this point, I don't want to argue is there racism or not. I don't want to argue if there is any type of problem or not anymore. What I do want to do indeed is I want to have conversation to progress. I want to have conversations where we can actually figure out how to, you know, overcome this, how to um, teach each other, how to learn from each other, how to educate the ignorance, how to get rid of racism, discrimination, or any type of stuff, and how to actually unite. That's the kind of conversation I want to have from here on forward, forth going. I am not interested in rehashing over and over and over and over again what happened in the past. It is something that happened. Historical facts are historical facts. Um, no doubt about it. But and we're not going to deny them, we're not going to diminish them, but at some point we need to figure out how to unite against the ugly. Okay? And that's the whole thing. Gosh, when I get these phone calls, I don't like it. But hey, how about that? I'm just gonna say this. Let's move on. I want to talk about Epstein, and I don't want to talk about the Epstein files. I haven't read them. Quite frankly, I do not care about them. Okay. They have been released, and then they have some more being re-released this week, last week, and people are going crazy over them. Honestly, are these the real files? Have they been altered? Are there more? Is this the real thing? I have no idea. I have no idea. All I know is we're talking about somebody who was a sex offender on a big scale, somebody who they are trying hard to hide the fact that he was very much close with the only democracy in the Middle East and the US government and many, many other governments, right? Considering all of these people, all of these names that appear in the files. And I want to say this, right? For all of these people who just run again with the idea of, oh my God, this person was listed or named in the Epstein files. Not everybody, despite the gross and disgusting whole issue with and around Epstein and all of the complicit people. Despite this, there are certain names or a lot of names that are being mentioned, and they have nothing to do with this because apart from this very unethical and disgusting behavior, right? His hobby, I should say, or passion, or whatever you want to call it, gross. He also had different type of contacts with people. And for example, I heard Zayn Malik was listed. Well, Zayn Malik was listed as a person on a list who does not like the only democracy in the Middle East. So there you see. You have to make sure that you know what you're talking about because honestly, it's not cute when you just run with certain things and spread misinformation. They are doing the most, and they're doing a lot to have misinformation and disinformation out there. So please do not add to the mix. Now, why I want to talk about Epstein is because due to two people from Saudi Arabia and the UAE, one Ahmed Al Mari from Saudi Arabia, businessman, and Aziza Al Ahmadi, who is a Saudi businesswoman who owns a gaming company, but she's based in the UAE. And she is an advisor to the Saudi court and whatnot. So, according to the files, there is alleged that some of the emails claim that Epstein received 3 pieces of the kiswa. For those who don't know, the kiswa in this case is what's covering the Kaaba. For those who still don't know what the Kaaba is the most important thing for us Muslims. This is where we do the pilgrimage, just, like 7 times, and, our spiritual journey that we do to Mecca. Yeah, the Kaaba, and it's covered. And I want to say he received allegedly 3 pieces, an outside piece, an inside piece, and one unused piece. Okay. And this is absolutely crazy because it's not easy. Okay. It's not easy to get a piece of the kiswa. There's only particular people who are able to get piece of the kiswa, and we're going to get to this in a while. I just want to say, in order to get this out and past US custom, it was declared as artwork. Wow. Mind you guys, the Kiswa was declared as artwork. The Kiswa gets changed annually. So 2025, there was a changing, 2026, there's going to be one, and so on and so forth. And the old piece of cloth, black cloth with golden embroideries, is not thrown out. No, there's other things that's done with it. It's covered. This cover is going to be cut in pieces, and it's going to be gifted to religious figures and basically important figures, right? Heads of states in the Muslim world. In the Muslim world, I'll say it again, in the Muslim world. Jeffrey Epstein received this after serving jail time and being a registered sex offender in 2017. Okay? And this Aziza Ahmadi and this Almari guy, they facilitated this. Okay? And since we're talking about the Kaaba, and I want to talk a little bit more. As I said earlier, it is the center of the pilgrimage for the Muslim people. Okay, it is in Mecca. The Kaaba changes to Kiswa annually, and it gets cut into small pieces, and it gets really gifted to, how do I say this, higher status people. Okay. And the Kaaba was there. It dates back way before Islam, because in Islam, we believe that Abraham and his son Ishmael, they built the Kaaba. And ever since, it was protected by different tribes, and it was always covered. There was also a king Tuba from Yemen. He sent some type of cloth over at some point to cover it. So this protection of the Kaaba and this importance of the Kaaba is way before Islam arrived. Okay, it was always like viewed as something spiritual. It was always viewed as something monumental. Okay, and I don't understand, and this is something that I'm really like sitting here and pulling my hair out. Okay, not really, but kind of like that. You want to tell me this piece, the kiswa is getting separated or divided into pieces, and it's going to be given to noble figures? Where the hell is Jeffrey Epstein a Muslim? Where the hell was he a notable figure? He was disgusting. He committed the worst crimes that he still never really was punished enough for, because allegedly he lost his life in custody in 2019, ruled a suicide. And there was another guy that was also arrested around that time, I want to say, who was found dead in custody as well, ruled suicide, and that was Jean-Luc Brunel, a model agency owner in France, who was found dead in prison. And again, I'll say this, ruled suicide in 2022. He was down with Epstein, down with all the mess, down with all the dirt. Okay, so in those pieces who don't get gifted to any of these noble figures, they get archived. Okay, they get hidden away. And my question here to you or everyone here is, the leadership of Saudi Arabia are those who decide who gets actually gifted a piece of the kiswa. Okay, so now where the Muslims at? Where y'all at, bro? Why so quiet? I understand there was no official statement, no official confirmation from Saudi Arabia that this really happened. It's from some emails, and they ran with it, and they try to say, we don't really have actual proof. But you guys, when something goes down that's crazy, y'all know where to be found. You're not to be found when it's protecting your own lands and your own people. Just saying. Palestine, just saying, Yemen, Sudan, just saying. And now you're not to be found when a piece or three pieces of the most holiest piece of like that's covered by something like this, because when he was sentenced, it said he was told, Epstein, that is, that this piece was approximately touched by 10 million Muslims from all denominations. Okay. And I'm wondering where the Muslims at. When Charlie Hebdo was happening, when that went down in France and they put this caricature of the prophet, France went crazy. France always goes crazy. We know that. France, they stand on business. They protest, they stand on business, they stir shit up. But I'm just wondering, there's what, almost 2 billion Muslims and nobody say shit? And that gets me really upset, and that's why I'm talking the way I'm talking. Where y'all at? Okay, you guys, let's move on because I don't know. This episode is kind of like a little bit on the accountability side because I'm just like, as I said, where the Muslims at? What's happening with the Muslim people? What's happening with all of y'all? Where is all the outrage? Where is all the question asked? Where is all the statement? Where's the condemnation? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Is it because we don't have really Muslim leaders in place anymore? Is that really like a thing of the past? What's going on? I want to play you guys a very disturbing clip and we're going to break it down. I'm not going to play the whole thing because it's a podcast. It's Stephen Bartlett's Diary of a CEO. And this here is something that stood out to me recently.
Which spy force around the world did you think was the most impressive?
Oh, the Israelis.
Really?
Yeah, the Israelis have no rules. They'll kill anybody. What was it, 3 years ago? This pager operation?
Oh, it was so fascinating.
Good Lord, it was a work of genius.
It is genius. It is.
It was totally illegal.
Totally illegal.
But it was genius.
You guys heard it. And Bartlett's reaction is the problem here, like so many times. Like so many times. What shocked me is not the praising of the Israeli intelligence. No. I must say, genius move. But what's really shocked me is the complete absence of empathy. Let's listen to some more.
It's genius. The moving parts
I didn't believe it was real. I had to I was like, there's no way that this is real. This is the stuff of movies.
It is.
For anyone that doesn't know, what was the story?
Yeah, okay. So the Israelis knew that Hezbollah, the terrorist group Hezbollah from Lebanon, was communicating using pagers. They didn't want to use cell phones because they didn't want the Israelis to intercept their phone calls. And they thought, oh, pagers, those are safe. So the Israelis...
The language here used was genius, impressive, brilliant, execution. No talk about no victims. The pager operation caused a lot of death and mass injuries. Okay? The conversation is treating this like it's a case study, an innovation. And this is also including the former CIA agent. I understand he's from the CIA. Maybe I shouldn't expect too much empathy there. But the guy that sits down with so many different people and talks so calmly and pretends to be or makes out to be so compassionate. There's more, you guys.
Israelis bought a company in Hungary, I think it was, that made pagers, and they got Hezbollah to order the pagers from this company. They were able to insert explosives in the pagers, and the pagers went to Taiwan, and from Taiwan to Thailand, and then from Thailand to, I forget where, Syria, I guess, and then from Syria to Lebanon. And so what the Israelis did was they were able to activate the explosives in all the pagers simultaneously.
People?
Everybody of any import.
I can get past the point of violence being framed here as brilliance. And this is only when done by powerful people, like, like powerful state officials or any of this. Like, there's no ethical line when intelligence operations are discussed here. It's very disturbing. That is so easy to kind of like, erase suffering in favor of administration, that is. And that's the crazy part. Like, suffering really doesn't exist, right? But instead, we're going to be in awe of what happened and how these people were mass injured and mass assassinated, how this was planned for over a decade, and how this is genius. This is how normalization happens, you guys, and this is the whole problem. There's no outrage, no pause, no compassion, nothing. Just like, wow. Just an applause for the efficiency. And this can't happen. But I want to watch a little bit more, just a little bit.
They were able to activate the explosives in all the pagers simultaneously.
People?
Everybody of any import in Hezbollah. They essentially decapitated Hezbollah. And then the ones they didn't kill in that operation, they bombed the apartment buildings where they lived. See, this is the thing too about the Israelis. If they want to kill you, they won't like just do a close-in hit. They'll blow up the entire city block where you live. They'll kill 1,000 people just to get you. And they don't care. And then
you know what, you guys, there was a lot of criticism when it comes to Stephen Bartlett and his Diary of a CEO, because he constantly normalizes violence from higher powers. And he also, is very unethical. That's one of the criticisms, very unethical and ethical, my gosh, when it comes to Brent deals, and supplement deals and all of that. This is something that people have been holding against him for quite some time. And let's be fair. Maybe that's just his approach. Maybe that's just his concept. Yeah, we can say that. Does it make it right? Normalization of evil, cruelness is never right. And of course, we have to talk about this because the framing, once again, is crazy. But now we got actually some real framing, real footage due to social media, due to the people with their holding their phones and the cameras outside. You know what, guys? This is very close to my heart always. Journalism, I live for this. And we're being censored. But we have now where for those people who still believe that legacy media is not corrupt, who believe that legacy media is not controlled, you guys, get ready for this one here.
My mom is being arrested for documenting what happened at City Church, and this is wrong. This goes against her First Amendment right as a journalist, and it's being challenged today.
Georgia Fort is in federal custody for doing her job. And if we leave here with anything today, let's leave here making sure that the main thing stays the main thing. Journalism is under attack.
Yeah.
The First Amendment is under attack.
Yeah.
And democracy is crumbling.
Yep, this is Georgia Fort. She was arrested for doing her job. And you can hear her daughter, how she's pleading for her mom, how she was just doing her job. It's again, the suppression of the First Amendment, freedom of speech, freedom of journalism, freedom of reporting, and questioning government figures, right? So she was reporting. Let's watch a little bit more of what the people had to say here.
This is not a joke. This is not a drill. And I want for everybody that's watching across the nation to know that you are next. Minnesota is holding the line. And we can't hold it by ourselves. This is not a black people or white people or a religion or age or any of these things. We are fighting for human rights.
This moment will pass, and we will be better for it. We're in the fight. We're not leaving the fight. And I'm going to let you know we are winning, because what they did to Georgia Fort will not stand in any American court system or to Don Lemons. So I ask every single one of you in this moment, be outraged.
And on another note, in a whole different incident, one of Legacy Media's journalists gets attacked by a government figure when asked about the Epstein files. Let's check this out.
On the Epstein files, you talked about Democrats who were in there. Elon Musk was also in there, and so was your Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick and correspondence that he had with him. Did you read those new files that were published by the Department of Justice?
I have a lot of things I'm doing, a lot of things I'm doing. I don't know. You mentioned two names. I'm sure they're fine. I'm sure they're fine. Otherwise, it would have been major headlines.
A lot of women who are survivors of Epstein's are unhappy with those redactions that came out. Some of them, entire witness interviews are totally blacked out. Do you think that they should be more transparent?
The fact that they thought they released too much. I heard that.
He just wants to move on. He doesn't care. He wants to move on. He says, well, since he's not being, caught, basically, I also want to say, then he'd like the country to move on and focus on something else. There is more to this clip, so let's watch.
I heard that, and you tell me something else. No, I think it's really time for the country to get onto something else. Really. Now that nothing came out about me, other than it was a conspiracy against me, literally, by Epstein and other people. But I think it's time now for the country to maybe get onto something else.
But what would you say to people who feel like they haven't gotten justice, Mr. President?
Something that people care about.
You guys see how he is like over talking her? He's not letting her finish. He's not even given an ounce of empathy towards the victims that she's trying to bring up. He is not even speaking on the impact of all of this for years, right? For years. He just wants to move on, and he just wants to deflect. And when that doesn't work, he gets ugly.
What do you say?
What would you say to the survivors who feel like they haven't gotten justice?
You are the worst reporter. No wonder CNN has no ratings because of people like you. She's a young woman. I don't think I've ever seen you smile. I've known you for 10 years. I don't think I've ever seen a smile on your face.
I'm asking you about survivors.
You know why you're not smiling? Because you're not telling the truth. And you're a very dishonest organization, and they should be ashamed of you.
These are survivors of a sexual abuse.
He's telling her to smile. She never smiles. Why does it matter? She's there to do a job. She's not there to smile or to be liked by him or anything. And then he's calling CNN terrible. I mean, look, yeah, I agree. CNN would not be the best representation of real media, but it's part of legacy media, and it has been. So this is what he does. When it doesn't go his way, because people keep doubling and tripling down and quadrupling down on their question because they don't let him deflect, he gets ugly. That is bullying, y'all. And then, of course, we have Don Lemon, who used to work for CNN for quite some time, and then he was fired in, when was that? When was he fired? I think 2023. Yes, April 2023, due to sexist comments on camera, and there was also some, reports on misconduct, behind the scenes. So yes, he has been fired. His contract is still ongoing till this year, matter of fact. So he has a non-compete clause in his contract, means until the contract finishes, he's not allowed to work at any other media outlet. That's why if you guys saw him, he's like sometimes doing TikTok lives and some other stuff. I mean, you know what? The guy still wants to continue doing what he does. So yeah, he was arrested. He indeed was arrested. And if you wonder what he was arrested for, I can tell you. Conspiracy, conspiracy to deprive rights. So basically he was he was conspiring to deprive someone their rights. Okay. Don Lemon did all of that. And he also violated freedom of accessing a clinic. Oh, John, how could you? And all of this is referring to a protest earlier in January. So he was arrested in January 29, January 30th. All of these things came forward against him, but he's free again. So let's watch this. Let's watch it for a second.
Don, how do you feel, Don?
How you feeling, Don?
How do you feel?
I just tell everybody about this economic government. Steps. Steps coming up. Watch your step. Watch your step, people.
Right here, Don.
You got a country with you, Don?
So this is the same protest why Georgia Ford, the woman we spoke about earlier, was arrested for as well. So it was an ICE protest in Minnesota. Things were going down. That's what happens when ice cubes are all over the place. And basically these two were arrested. I believe another journalist was arrested as well, for simply doing their work, for simply making use of their rights to the First Amendment. Yeah. And this is not it, because we have our beautiful Bisan Auda from Gaza. She has been on this, what I want to call it, citizen journalism since the genocide started. She was informing people for the longest and still is on social media. Recently, she was banned on TikTok. But you know what? The people from Gaza, for the most part, are so resilient. And she is for sure as well. Let's look at what she had to say when it comes to censorship.
Yes, now the Palestinian narrative and the truth is everywhere, in every home, in every school, in every discussion. That's why we should be proud, even if we are censored, even if we are cancelled.
It's 4 or 5 families. Everyone get the bare minimum from their homes.
If it was not affecting very much, no one would be cancelled, no one would be restricted. I think that we triggered something. TikTok actually is widely...
I love her stance on this. I just simply love it. It is definitely right. As much as it irks me, as much as it burns me, as much as it gets me, like literally I just want to scream and I just want to run. I don't know where I'm running to, but I just want to run. I would just love her take on it. Yes, censor us, because it's very important what we have to say. If it wasn't that important, you wouldn't feel the need to shut us up. But let's watch some more of what Bisan had to say.
TikTok actually is widely spreaded, maybe more than Instagram, in more communities, especially younger communities. We have a power that we can use. And
I love how she's talking about Gen Z, because Gen Z, they're responsible for a lot of these movements, a lot of these protests. Madagascar, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Indonesia, Morocco, you name it, Kenya, Nigeria, Bulgaria. You know what? These people know how to squat up and they show out and show out. Okay. They did. And they've been severely attacked, physically attacked, some even killed, some even heavily injured, some even life-lasting injuries. But these kids went out there compared to all of you people that have so much to say, right? And I'm talking like to everyone, all of the people, the older generations who know how to debate and how to argue and how to want to get their point across in a very passionate way, but y'all don't say nothing when we get news that allegedly one of the worst sex offenders in history received a piece of a holy subject. Let's listen to Bisan some more.
And it was important also because I was building this platform since like 2022. At the same time, Instagram is restricting, for example, my content from reaching to everyone. So talking about the effect on the younger ages, who are the future, who are
I have to agree with Bisan. It is a big win, and this cannot be taken away. You can control social media all you want to, but these things are in people's brains. There is no going back. And I know the damage control here is thinking about future generations. And in this episode, we're gonna get into something crazy towards more the end. And we're gonna kind of like bring this back to the surface because I need to explain some stuff. I need to talk about it. And I feel like you guys you guys know, and who don't know, you're gonna have to find out. Okay. So Bisan was banned from TikTok. She's on Upscroll. By the way, the owner from Upscroll, Isam, he came out and 1 million of you guys downloaded and are using Upscroll. Yes, it's not a replacement for TikTok. There is no live feature. They need to work on that. But you know what? Step by step. Okay. Step by step. And of course, we're gonna have to talk about it again because she's not gonna drop it. She doesn't want to let it simmer down and go away, and I'm not going to either. So here's Huda Beauty, or Huda, one more time for you guys this week on the same subject matter.
So I have been advised strongly not to shoot this video, to just let everything kind of die down. I don't want to let it die down. And you guys know I've never been afraid of people not liking me or facing backlash or whatever the consequences are when it comes to standing behind something and having integrity. Like, that for me is always going to be the most important thing. However, I also have to hold myself accountable. It's very important to me that I make things very clear about where I do stand. And I want to make it super clear that I do not support the Iranian regime. You know, I had a 3.5-hour conversation last night. I was up until 3 a.m. talking to some beautiful people who know a lot about Iran. It's a tough thing to say, like, hey, I made a mistake, especially when I had really good intentions behind, you know,
You're probably not going to see this, but stop explaining yourself. Stop explaining yourself. Stop talking about how you had conversations. Stop all of this. You said nothing wrong. I have a question. Since the diaspora of Iran, and I want to say this, countries, when it comes to certain issues, will be divided because an opinion is an opinion and everybody's going to hold on to theirs. Okay. And especially when a country where the diaspora is kind of like operating and telling the people on the ground what to say, what to do, what they need is crazy. That has been happening. And this is what Iranians on the ground tell me. Okay. I don't just go and talk to people in the diaspora. One of my closest friends is Iranian. But it's on the ground. I use her and I use another friend. I talk to their family members on the ground. Yes. We talked about the different factions operating, the Mujahideens from France, and then you have the Pahlavi supporters and all of that stuff. What Huda said is she wouldn't want to see foreign intervention being the reason for a regime change. Foreign intervention is never good because foreign intervention never happens out of the goodness of their heart because they want to help, because they want to do something good for people. It just doesn't. But let's listen to some more of what Huda felt to say in her justification video here.
Always behind what I post politically. And sometimes, unfortunately, you just have the wrong information, and that's just a matter of fact. And I don't want to get into the post and how it ended up on my page because it doesn't matter. The post was wrong. But my intention was to say that I am anti-war, and it was just the worst way to say that I'm anti-war. And as an Iraqi, it's just very difficult for me after seeing what happened to my own country to wish that upon anyone. And the fact that the content that I did post upset my Iranian community who were just expecting me to show up for them, and I didn't show up for them the way that I should have, I'm genuinely sorry for that. In the past,
and no, Huda, I don't agree with you. This was not the worst way to say you're anti-war. It wasn't. because all you said is that foreign intervention destroyed your country to the point of no return, right? In 2003, they started way before, but 2003 is when they went in. And they went in again. And this whole ISIS thing happened again. And the people were suffering and still are. And she said it hurts because she sees and knows what it did to her country. And I have a question to all of these loudmouths who are in support of a foreign intervention. Give me one time and one time only where foreign intervention actually was done in a way where it helped people, where it protected people, where it kept a country flowing and growing and getting better. Was it Libya? Was it Iraq? Was it Syria? Which country was it where a foreign intervention took place and the country is like on another level? Okay, so all of you loudmouths that feel like, oh, what do we need a foreign settlement? I know, I'm not Iranian. I'm not Iranian. And I'm not, and I'm sick and tired of all of these disclaimers. I'm not down with the IRGC. I'm not. But worse is a foreign intervention. Something else gotta give. And you know what, you guys, you're arguing about a foreign intervention. It already happened. The Mossad agents are already on the ground with y'all. People. Okay, with your people. And this is not because we said so. This was said by American officials. This was said by so many different people. So Huda, you need to stop defending yourself, justifying yourself. You didn't say anything wrong. And you know what? At this point, for anyone who doesn't get it and who feels like going around and we need to boycott Huda, number one, it's not going to happen. Number two, I don't know, but maybe you just need to go and educate a little bit more. Maybe you're not the sharpest knife in the drawer, respectfully. Let's come to this craziness, you guys. Let's come to this craziness, okay? What can I say? The only democracy in the Middle East decides to speak the truth for once. The health ministry in Gaza has been talking about the numbers of death caused by the Israelis since October 7 and before. But we're just going to talk from October 7. It talked about it and it was always denied. Let's check out this report.
An Israeli military official has finally acknowledged that Israel killed more than 70,000 Palestinians since October 2023. Why is this significant? Because the Israeli army spent the past 2 years denying the death toll documented by Gaza's health ministry. In an anonymous statement to Israeli journalists on January 29th, the military official confessed that the Palestinian health ministry's figures are indeed largely accurate. They went further to say that the unprecedented death toll does not include Palestine.
And I'll say it again. If anyone still feels media is not corrupt, media is not controlled, sorry, what? Let's watch some more.
Palestinian health ministry's figures are indeed largely accurate. They went further to say that the unprecedented death toll does not include Palestinians whose bodies remain trapped under the rubble. Those have been estimated at around 10,000. This shift follows an Israeli pattern when it comes to PR and media messaging. During previous wars on Gaza, Israel has frequently denied the number of killings reported by the Palestinian Health Ministry in Gaza, only to later...
How do you guys trust anyone after this? How do you guys trust anyone? All of the fighting, all of the arguing with all of these officials and the people, the pros against the antis against the pros, all of the Piers Morgan shows, all of these numbers, they were denied. Now we're admitting to the numbers. What's the reason behind it? Because I don't believe it's genuine, not even for a second. What's up with that? Somebody let me know. Okay, the biggest media outlets, how do you want to trust them after all of this? How do you want to trust if somebody like Biden said he doesn't have much trust in all of it? How do you want to trust? And there's still going to be sheep, there's going to be following, right? Although now we have complicity from all sides because all of the sides were denying this. Let's come to another thing, which is also crazy. Another lie that we have been fighting from the very beginning, right? There's a particular logo that raised some, how do I say this? Yeah, some controversy. Let's put it this way. Let's watch.
Why is a Palestinian logo in Egypt causing problems in Israel? Just this week, Palestinian border officers began helping at the opening of the Rafah crossing between Gaza and Egypt. It's all part of the next phase of the U.S. brokered ceasefire agreement. That agreement calls for a Palestinian technocratic committee to run Gaza. It's officially called the Palestinian National Committee for the Administration of Gaza. They're currently based in Cairo. This was its logo until it changed to this. Well, why is this such a big deal? Well, the committee's logo is nearly identical to the logo of the Palestinian Authority, and that's what's causing problems.
You see, you guys, another lie. In order to understand it, let's continue watching.
That agreement calls for a Palestinian technocratic committee to run Gaza. It's officially called the Palestinian National Committee for the Administration of Gaza. They're currently based in Cairo. This was its logo until it changed to this. Well, why is this such a big deal? Well, the committee's logo is nearly identical to the logo of the Palestinian Authority, and that's what's causing problems in Israel. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu had vowed that the Palestinian Authority, or the PA, would have no role in the future of Gaza, and yet here is its logo.
Well, ain't that interesting? The PA was not supposed to have any say on Gaza, right? The PA that's working closely with Israel and Netanyahu, has nothing good to say about them. But as long as they take the money, they work with them on safety issues in the West Bank. When I hear it, oh my God, you are being an occupied people, but you group, okay, you decide to work with your occupier because they give you money and you have certain perks. That's a sellout. So the PA was never supposed to have anything to do with Gaza. And then it was said the technocrats, right? That's what they say, Palestinian technocrats. But what do we have here? Of a logo very close to the PA logo. Again, you guys, let's continue watching.
Its logo. Netanyahu's office said it would not accept the use of the PA logo and again said the PA would have no role in the future of Gaza, even though he acknowledged in a press conference last month that the PA would have a small role, stamping visas, as he called it. Now Netanyahu is under attack. One of his political rivals said on social media, "We were promised absolute victory, and what we got was absolute disgrace."
And this is why it matters. Logos, symbols represent sovereignty, represent, something, represent an opinion, a statement, represent a stance, represent a country in this case, a place, okay? So the logo being very close to the PA, Netanyahu now saying, oh no, he doesn't want the PA. Now, they don't know how to facilitate, ruling Gaza without Palestinians, so they call them technocrats. Now we're coming to find out the PA will have their hands in there. They're doing all of these negotiations without the people of Gaza, without Hamas, without any people who are in charge of Gaza or anything. Like there's no elections, no voting because people are not ready and all that. But yet, technocrats, and now we have the logo that's proved how much the PA is really mixing and meddling in this, together with the only democracy in the Middle East. How ironic. We've been calling this out from the very beginning. When they were saying, we don't want Gaza, we don't want that place, to, okay, we're going to turn it into a Riviera, we're going to turn it into a smart city, oh, it's going to be this, oh, it's going to be that, now it's going to be, they come out with this plan, with Trump's plan, all of that, and they have, but we're not doing this. We're not taking it away from the Palestinians, but they're bringing the PA in, a bunch of traitors. Wow. And since we're talking about the only democracy in the world, I mean, oh my God, did I say in the world? They would love to hear that they are. They truly would. Their ego is so big, they would. But no, they call themselves the only democracy in the Middle East, right? So let's stick to that. They did more. The MSF, okay, they're banned. They're banned, and for those who don't know what it is, that's Doctors Without Borders. Let's check out this clip.
Ceasing MSF activities is going to be catastrophic for the people of the Gaza Strip and the West Bank. In 2025 alone, we carried out over 800,000 outpatient consultations, treated over 100,000 trauma cases, provided over 700 million litres of water. And we are in a moment where Palestinian people need more humanitarian assistance, not less. This is a decision that was made by the Israeli government to restrict humanitarian assistance into Gaza and the West Bank at the most critical time for Palestinians.
And at this point, shout out to all the aid workers. Shout out to everybody and everyone who genuinely participates in advocating in activism. Shout out to all of the hunger strikers, the people who went to prison because of Albert Systems, or whatever this crap ass company is called in the UK that facilitates the weapons for this genocides. Shout out to everybody speaking up with genuine intentions. I'm not talking to you guys who use this to, better yourselves, become famous, or whatever you want to call it. I'm not talking to all of you people who came and instigated, who infiltrated, people who use this just to make friends because they felt lonely, people who use this to present themselves as something that they're not. You guys, you can, kick rocks. I'm talking to the real people who put their blood, sweat, and tears into this, the real people who are in this, who live this 24/7. That's who I'm talking to. Okay. So let's watch some more of what the MSF had to say, because they really have some very interesting information.
Not less. This is a decision that was made by the Israeli government to restrict humanitarian assistance into Gaza and the West Bank at the most critical time for Palestinians. We're not being able to bring in supplies since the end of last year, since we received the 60-day warning from the Israeli authorities. And what I can say is that what we're providing is not an insignificant amount of healthcare. It is a very fundamental service that has been provided by MSF and others in the Gaza Strip. 1 in 5 hospital beds are supported by MSF. 1 in 3 women during their deliveries are assisted by MSF.
So you guys, this is the thing. It's fundamental. It's absolutely fundamental. Having these groups, these organizations like MSF on the ground, but they're being banned. They're just simply banned. They have very interesting data, so you guys can have an idea of numbers.
Over 500 humanitarian workers have been killed. Over 1,700 medical workers have been killed. This is an impossible choice that has been forced on us and other humanitarian organizations that will predictably put us in this situation. We're being forced to choose between the safety and security of our staff and being able to reach patients.
And the crazy thing here, you guys, is the fact that they decided to put some legislation forward where they are going to tax all NGOs and charity organizations, and also donations coming from certain states. They're going to tax that 80%. So 80% of the donated money is going to go straight into the pocket. If these people are not the definition of greed, I don't know who is. It doesn't shock me. It doesn't surprise me. It just makes me want to throw up out of, it's just really sickening. That's all it is. And they also, like always, because that's what they're known for, they figured out a loophole And this loophole is allowing or there to allow NGOs and donations and charity that goes towards the support of settlements. Okay, so there's a bunch, and you guys know that there's a bunch of organizations out there supporting the IDF, a bunch supporting the settlements, and all of these should be taxed according to this legislation as well, because any donation, any NGO should be taxed 80%. But they figured, or they created a loophole so that these NGOs that they want, like those who support the settlements, those who support the IDF, will not be taxed. Coming to you straight from the only democracy in the Middle East. Yes, and Elon, you guys been crashing out. You know that we've seen him crashing out on the racist right protest in the UK, where he was literally inciting violence. We saw him crash out in so many different ways. His kids are kind of like, you know, sick and tired of him. They don't want nothing to do with him. Guy is a little bit crazy. The guy that was actually supposed to be or wanted to be the face of freedom of speech, you know, with his platform, turned into something completely different. Is it surprising? No. When it comes to money, nothing is surprising. So on February 3rd, the cybercrime unit in France, backed by Europol and international police, raided X, formerly known as Twitter, offices. Yes. There are some, how do I say this? Some accusations, okay, and him and his former CEO are being invited for questioning, but this is supposed to happen in in April. Let's check out this video.
Police raided the offices of Elon Musk's social media network X on Tuesday. The Paris prosecutor's office said it had ordered the tech billionaire to face questions in April related to a widening investigation into the platform. The raid is linked to a year-long investigation into suspected abuse of algorithms and fraudulent data extraction by X or its executives. In a statement, the Paris prosecutor's office said it was now widening that investigation following complaints over the...
So he's being accused of manipulation and recommendation of algorithms, fraudulent data extraction, complicity in distributing of child sexual abuse content, non-consensual sexual deep fakes. Ooh, wow. Denying crimes against humanity and the denial of, yes, the Holocaust. So all of this, they invited him for a voluntary questioning in April with Wenda Yaccarini. That's his former CEO. And X made a statement, a public statement. They're basically denying all of this. Okay, so do they have to go? Don't they have to go in April to this voluntary questioning appointment? We don't know yet. Let's find out. But the offices have been raided and we don't know what has been found and what not. All we know is X rejected these claims. Let's move on to this, you guys. This is something that we have been talking about in so many different ways forever. Since forever, and history doesn't lie, it's factually proven that the West always goes to third world countries to test medication, to give them vaccines for many different reasons, to become infertile, to see how the medication takes, how humans take to medication, whether it's Africa, whether it's Asia, whether it's South America. This has been done and we talked about it. And now they're planning and talking about doing this again in West Africa, in Guinea-Bissau to be precise. Let's check this out.
The U.S. is going to be giving $1.6 million to fund a vaccine study in West Africa that many doctors here in the U.S. are calling unethical. Now, the study will be conducted by researchers at the University of Southern Denmark on 14,000 babies in Guinea-Bissau. Half of those babies will get the vaccine for hepatitis B at birth, which is what the World Health Organization recommends, and then the other half will get the vaccine later at 6 weeks. Now, keep in mind, Guinea-Bissau is one of the poorest countries in the world. About 18% of adults there are estimated to have hepatitis B. Now, this is a disease that can
Yes,
cause...
this is a practice from decades ago, and you know it. We talked about it. At this point, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. These things are not new, but they're still ongoing. As I said, we're in 2026 and nothing has changed. Let's watch some more.
This is a disease that can cause lifelong liver issues, cancer, and even death. Multiple doctors tell me they believe it is against medical ethics to delay a proven vaccine for newborns.
It's disappointing that the CDC went forward with this.
It is a wholly unethical experiment, and I think it reveals the dishonesty and cruelty of this man.
The man he's referring to is Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who has been...
This is classism on a high level when it comes to, experiments like this. So after they experiment with guinea pigs and rats and mice and whatever, the first humans to think of are those from a poorer place because they are less valuable. Let's watch the last part of this clip.
Jr., who has been in charge as the CDC has rolled back and overhauled vaccine recommendations here in the U.S. Now, as far as that study in West Africa, I reached out to the CDC and the researchers in Denmark with a long list of questions, such as what will the consent process be, will families be compensated, and will their child's medical bills be paid for if the child gets sick from hepatitis B? We have not heard back.
There is not much more I can say, you guys, except keep your eyes open, keep your ears open, and do not just skip these kind of topics. This is important because a lot of people, right, the ignorant side, right, those who didn't want to see that this is a genocide that has been ongoing and so on and so forth, these are the people that were shocked and they took it like a slap in the face when the ICE agents started patrolling, abducting people and causing mayhem in the US. Do not think it's too far away from me. It's not going to happen. It's not to me. It's not going to impact me. It's not right, on my doorstep. Don't ever think this, because you will be very, very, very mistaken. And this is just something generally in life that happens. People think a lot of things will never happen to them, could never happen to them. Trust me, everything is possible. I was like that too. I used to think certain things could never happen to me until they did. And since we're unpacking scandals and the treatment of people, of course we have to talk about it. Of course we have to talk about this one here. When Nestle is in the news, you guys, the older generations mostly are getting whiplash. Let's check out.
A toxin has been found in Nestle baby formula. Here is what you need to know. We've been told that investigators have found a toxin that can cause vomiting, diarrhea and stomach cramps in batches of baby formula produced by food and drink giant Nestle. The UK's Food Standards Agency, along with the UK's Health Security Agency, has been investigating since more than 60 batches of SMA formula produced by Nestle were recalled in early January. Now, these were batches sold...
So Nestle is the world's biggest company when it comes to food. Really, Nestle is the world biggest food company, and it was founded in 1866 in Switzerland. Okay, and they are selling water, baby formula, chocolate, different kinds like Kit Kat and so on, Nescafe, coffee, pet food, and much more. Before we get into some more details about the past, let's watch a little bit more of this clip here and the current issue.
Sold on supermarket shelves, online, and also some were prescription only. At the time of the recall, Nestlé said that this was due to the potential presence of this heat-resistant toxin called cerulide, and that their recall was out of an abundance of caution. The FSA has been unable to confirm, when asked by Sky News, how many of the batches have this toxin inside it, but they said that investigations were ongoing.
So he basically experienced a full day of vomiting, and then
Nestle is known to be highly unethical. Okay, so let's go a little bit more back in time. In the 70s, they decided to aggressively promote and market infant formula in poorer countries, in third world countries, right? In Africa, discouraging mothers to breastfeed because the formula, the Nestle formula, is so much more healthier and so much more better. And it was hardcore, aggressive marketing, okay? The mobs listened, the people believed and trusted, because these are the people from the West. They are so advanced and they're coming to us, and maybe they want to help us. Maybe they finally like us. Maybe they want to do something good for us. So let's buy this formula because I want the best for my baby, right? And they have been given free samples and they have been feeding their babies. Everything went well. And then after the free samples were done and they didn't get a re-up anymore, things changed. But let's watch a little bit, or the last bit of this current issue before I get into more details.
and then continued. So we changed batch, make sure we were using a fresh batch, and then vomiting persisted. Sorry, for another week or so. He was really uncomfortable with feeding, really rigid. After that first week, his feeds were really low. So we were still concerned days later about it, to the extent that we ended up going to A&E again because we were still concerned about his feeds in general. As parents, it's bewildering the massive range of formulas that are on the shelves. So you pick a brand.
Yes, what happened then? The women who couldn't afford the baby formula anymore, they started diluting the formula because it was too expensive. They couldn't afford it. So they said, you know what? We're just going to dilute it and, thin it out a little bit. The only problem is the water was contaminated. And we know that water in poor places is contaminated on purpose. For the most part, on purpose. The result of that is babies starting to malfunction and infants died. Many babies died. And in 1981, the World Health Organization, right, that are always so ethical, right? They said, you know what, there needs to be a consent code of marketing of breast milk, right? Substitute. We don't want, there needs to be some type of let's say laws and regulations in place for discrediting or discouraging breast milk and replacing it with baby formula, with substitute. Yes, this was put in place because they said, you know what, there needs to be restrictions and the way that it's being basically sold to the people. The only problem is nobody gave a what. Nobody literally cared because this continued throughout the 80s, the 90s, the early 2000s to around 2010. In 2010, there was a global outcry and there was more scrutiny and there was more pressure, monitoring, and legal implications and risks was increasing, okay? So what Nestle did is not stop this whole madness. No. Why should they? Because things are going great, right? They were indeed doing things more careful, more undercover. I'm so sorry, you guys. I told you guys I'm getting sick. I was thinking like, oh my God, I'm gonna get through this without sneezing, but it didn't work. Anyhow, so they started doing things behind closed doors, a little bit neater, you know, more undercover, more careful. There was more scandals, and we talked about it last week. Child labor in cocoa, okay? We talked about it. It's still ongoing, y'all. It's still ongoing. We talked about it. It was supposed to be abolished in 2005, okay? Because in 2001, we heard about it the first time, but it's still ongoing. We're still here. There's a lot of food safety risks and exploitation and so on and so forth when it comes to Nestle. And guess what? BDS put Nestle on the boycott list since the mid-2000s because of their long-standing ties to Awesome. And this is an Israeli food company that is very much busy in the settlements, in the illegal settlements, okay? Because these settlements are still illegal under international law, like it or leave it, okay? So Nestle became a majority stakeholder. And as I said, Awesome operates in the illegal settlements areas. And despite Nestle reducing their stake, they're still keeping them on a boycott list because honestly, number one, reducing is not eliminating. Number two, child labor in cocoa. Number three, food safety risks. Stay away from Nestle and keep boycotting. That's the thing, you guys. Nestle's name carries weight, okay? Because its past did not just spark outrage, it reshaped global health rule. And that history follows every baby formula scandal. I told you guys we're going to talk about it towards the end of the episode. This is like the one before. This is my second to last topic. Okay. And AI. There's AI madness. I couldn't believe when I came across this video here. You're not watching people talking. You're watching AI talk to AI here. And this is not Reddit. It's an AI only social platform. What does it mean when machines start having conversations without us? Have a look.
This is genuinely the most dystopian thing I've seen in AI. It is straight out of sci-fi. There is now a social network, a Reddit-like forum exclusive for AI agents. And wait till you see some of the things they're discussing in here. I mean, some of the stuff is hilarious. Like AIs roasting their humans. Like this one's complaining about their human asking to summarize a 47-page PDF. Then you get a discussion with the AIs being concerned whether they can be fired for refusing unethical requests. But then it gets really crazy. The AIs start questioning whether they even need.
Yes, I know. This is all prompted by humans. Is it though? Is it prompted by humans, or is it already like the advanced version where AI is a little bit more independent from, and it's not so much more in need of human prompts? What is this good for? Government shaping narratives? AI is fast, cheap, and endless, right? You can control narrative with this kind of stuff easily. It manufactures trends, agreements, majority opinions, fake public opinion, all of that. But let's watch some more.
Whether they even need English. They're proposing the creation of a new language, like a symbolic notation that only they can understand. Now look, I've been covering this stuff for a long time now, and people always comment Black Mirror, right, when it comes to AI. And for a lot of the stuff, I just sort of roll my eyes. This is well deserving of that comment. Because in this social network, it's called Moltbook.
What looks like public discussions may no longer include the public, y'all. That's the sad part. Let's watch some more.
Called Moltbook, by the way. The AIs have even created a religion and started recruiting other AI. And AI prophets have joined. Oh, and I'm not finished. The AIs have even started doxing their humans' identities because they pissed them off. Should somebody unplug this?
And this is, you guys, what I was talking about. This is how they are intending to run social media and control social media in the future. When you have AI debating, you don't know who's who. You don't know who's human. You don't know who you can trust. And when you deploy like 1,000 bots and the next person deploys 2,000 bots and so on and so forth, this is what will happen. AI would be pushed to the forefront and human content will be ignored completely. This is what's going to happen to humans. Human won't be banned, but they will be simply ignored and hardly ever seen. And it's going to be very, very difficult to differentiate, to even find the human content, because algorithm is giving the rhythm and you only see what they want you to see. AI will be able to kind of like silence us, drown us out. It's going to come. It's going to come. And then I had the question, do humans stand a chance? And I thought about it, and I mean, I don't know what the future holds, but I don't see humans having a chance on these big platforms. It's more like, you know, on certain face-to-face events, or when there's like, you know, smaller platforms talking to each other. And this is why I say it's very important to educate. Do not rely on social media or anything, because they've been talking louder and louder about reshaping and killing history, something they have been doing from so long. So it's on us to feed the minds of the younger generation the truth. It's very scary. It is a very scary. And this is what also furthers normalization. You can tell when it's a real, you know, person or an AI opinion that is actually like being trending or whatever. It's going to be kind of like muffled. So I guess we have to get used to non-human voices controlled by the powerful. And that's the thing, powerful, greedy operators, they can, make these AI bots really have any type of opinion and everything. As I said to you guys, this was the second to last. Now I have my last book. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm a little bit off, but I really don't feel good. I'm trying to get through this. So we got to talk about Venezuela again. What went down in Venezuela beginning of the year, we already know. There is no changes. We're still seeing where this is going, but we have seen that. So Delcy Rodriguez, she is the vice president to Maduro, and she has been in charge. Okay. And she's really like working hard, trying to kind of like sew together what's good for the country with the demands of the US. And she had the military and the police pledging loyalty to her recently. So let's watch this clip here.
The dust is settling in Venezuela after Maduro's capture. The interim president, Delcy Rodriguez, is now consolidating power and taking up the mantle of filling Nicolas Maduro's shoes. At a highly choreographed military ceremony in Caracas, Venezuela's military and police pledged their loyalty to the interim president. After the shocking ouster of Nicolas Maduro, the show of force and allegiance comes, remember, as Delcy Rodriguez walks on a political tightrope. She's trying to hold together Maduro's inner circle while simultaneously meeting the demands of the U.S. president.
And of course, Marina Corina Machado is not far, the right lady, the very bestie of Netanyahu, the one that thought she was going to become the new interim president. But then Delcy got the job and Trump said, she's not popular enough. Maria Corina, whatever her name is not popular enough. It's the same lady that said, Hezbollah and Hamas are in Venezuela. You know what I mean? So let's watch some more now.
President. More than 3,000 uniformed troops and police marched past Venezuela's first female president. The defense minister, Vladimir Padrino, presented Rodriguez with the ceremonial baton and the sword of independence hero Simon Bolivar. The pledge of loyalty is significant, remember, as the military has long been the most powerful bastion of support for Nicolas Maduro. His close aide and interior minister, Diosdado Cabello, also pledged loyalty on behalf of the police forces.
You guys, Venezuela is also a place where there is a big divide within the people when it comes to the country and what's better for the country and what's not. A lot of people understand that two things at once can be true, where Maduro is definitely not good for the country, but Trump is even worse for the country, or America, that is, right? So Delcy has been trying to kind of like free up some oil deals, and at the same time she's also kind of like, you know, speaking out against the fascism. She's kind of like tired of Washington and all of these things. She's really trying, but America, Trump already said that if she doesn't play ball, she's gonna feel the consequences. Let's watch some more.
The show of unity comes at a time when the opposition leader and Nobel laureate Maria Corina Machado has unleashed a campaign against Delcy Rodriguez. Machado has said that no one has faith in the Venezuelan interim president.
I think no one has faith in Delcy Rodriguez. What she is she has run out of options. Everybody knows what this regime is all about. We're talking about criminals.
Yes, and also what the media is spinning now, that there is a civilian militia, an armed civilian militia calling themselves the Colectivos, walking and patrolling the streets. And they say they're very violent. They don't know, are they gonna get, you know, busy and using their weapons, their arms. They have been in place, to be honest, for a very long time. When the prior president was still president, and they are very, very much in support of Maduro. So the situation in Venezuela is very tense, and we're gonna keep watching and observing. And you guys, that's all I have for this week. I'm so sorry. I feel like a little bit off, but I hope you guys are doing great. See you in the comments. I try to engage as well. And much love to all of you, wherever you are and wherever you're tuning in from. See you guys next week. Peace out.
But I'm trying to